Hi guys, my name is Mangani Mahlangu. In today's video I want to show you how do you create a invoice using the Microsoft Access. Let's say maybe you do not have enough money to buy the POS is portfolio of evidence, a POS point of sales system. So you can use Microsoft Access whereby you create your own system using forms to create them to look like the professional ones. But in today's video we won't go further. We'll just show you how do you create a automated invoice using this Microsoft Access that you've created. Firstly, you need to create a table. I'm just going around this table. I won't dwell in much in tables because the video is not about the tables. The video is about the invoice. Now, this table is being created with 4 fields. Then the first one is the employee number. The second one is employee name, employee surname, and employee gender. The second table, it's a selling table. In this selling table, it has employee that has made the stock, who has recorded the stock in the storeroom, and then that employee, this field recorded by, we use lookup wizard to create a relationship between the employee table and the stock table. The barcode is just a short text, nothing much, and then the item that we are putting here, we used a lookup wizard to make more options. A number of items that we stock is just the number, the data type. This is a currency data type. The total cost, it's a currency multiplied by this number, and then we got 130. So we've made 2 tables now. The first one is the employee table. The second one is the stock table. The employee table is for us when we're making a transactions, we're able to trace who has done what. For example, in the stock table, Bongani has recorded the stock. The last table that we created, it's a selling table. So with this table, we've sold our items. So Senzo at 0125 13 June 2025 is with this transaction number has sold this barcode, of which is boys plain vest, okay, and he sold 2 of the plain vest with amount of 30 rand. 2 times 20 is 60. Bongani has sold 3 items. Therefore, because it was sold to 1 person, this transaction number is the same. So each and every time when the customer is standing by, you will be creating a transaction number, and it's simple. Let's make one transaction to show you. Let's say in Togozo, the time it comes automatically, I'll show you why, is going to say 13 June 2025 at 0132. So that's how they create this transaction number, and it's unique. So so that's how they create this transaction number. Let's say the person is coming to buy boy jersey. It's 84 rand. 1 items 84 rand. Okay, and then by doing that automatically, the total is 84 because it's 1 item. And then the same person is being assisted by Ntogozo, and then because it's the same person, we just copy this and paste it here, and then because it's the same person, let's say maybe this same person is also want to buy a girl shirt. A girl shirt is 70 rand. Okay, it's 1 item, it's a girl shirt, it's 70 rand. Okay, so by doing that, we've recorded a transaction, but we've used the same transaction number because we are selling it to 1 person, so that when we group these transactions, they go, when we create the invoice we're speaking about, this transaction is based on the transaction number. So these two transaction, or these two transaction whereby the boy jersey and the girl school shirt was sold to a customer, it goes to one invoice. Okay, so that's the purpose of this transaction number. Okay, and the purpose is not to show you how to create a table. So there are more videos on my channel on my YouTube where you check how to create tables, how to create queries table, and other things that you can create, such as report and the forms. Okay, the video is how do you create invoice. Now the invoice, it's a form. Invoice, it's a form. So most of people, they confuse the form. They think that the invoice is a report. It's a form on Access. But then before we go to create an invoice, you need to base your invoice on grouping. So for your grouping, you will use a query, and this is how you create a query. You'll go to create, and you choose a query design, and you choose the selling table. The purpose of creating this query is to group the transactions. Now we are grouping it using this query. So let's group them. So we group them according to the transaction number, and then we will then choose a maybe the quantity sold, amount per item, and total. Okay, and then after doing that, choosing these three, and then you'll go to design, and then you go to these totals. After going to totals, you can see here you have group by, and then you say sum here, and then you also say sum here, and then on quantity you say count, and then you close your query. You don't have to create any relationship because it's only one table that you are using. So you close your query. When you close it, the purpose is to save it, and then save it as the part 1 for invoice. So this is the first part that you need to create your invoice, is to create a query, and then let's run the query to see. So if you can see here now, every transaction has been grouped according to the transaction number. So transaction number 1306250125, they bought one item for that person, and there is one transaction for that person, and then for this one, there are 2 transactions for this number, but for this number there are 3 records or transactions for this one. So this, it counts how many records do you have according to how we did here. As you can see here, we have count the transactions because we said count in quantity. But if you wanted to know how many quantity, we would say sum, just for example, but I'll come back and say count. I just want to make an example. So when we say sum in the quantity, so it means for this transaction we had 2 transaction in quantity. So 2 times 30 is equals to 60, something like that. 2 times something like that. Okay, let's go back and make it count. We just want it to be a count for now, but the main purpose of this query is to group the transactions according to transaction number that we've created. I've shown you how do we create that transaction number. So it's the first step to make the invoice. The second step to make the invoice, you go and create a wizard, and then make sure it's based on this query, and then you take everything, you say finish, and then you have your form, and then you close your form, you open your form with design view. Then after opening your form with design view, you will then insert a sub form here. After inserting a sub form here, and then your sub form, you say next in this wizard, make sure it's a sales table, the sub form sales tables. And then for your invoice, what do you want there? You want a barcode, for example. You want quantity, how many, but before quantity you want product. Okay, you want product, you want quantity, and then you want you put a transaction number so that it can group them according to the transaction number, and then it's barcode, product, quantity. Let me put them in order. So let's say maybe you want a transaction number, you want a barcode, you want a product, and then you want quantity, you want a price per item, you want a total. And then you say finish. So by doing that, automatically you've created an invoice. Let's open the invoice to see. So boom, there we go. So I will do the layout, but just to show you, for this transaction number you've got one item, and after this one item, let's go to the next transaction. For this transaction you have got two items, and then let's go to the next items. For this transaction, this one, you've got 3 items. So you can continue with your invoice to design view, or maybe you start with layout view, and then in the layout view maybe you try to adjust the layout in a way that it's more fashionable, and then maybe you also want the total here so that you can count a sum here, for example, and then you know that pay this transaction you've made this amount. Okay, when you go to the next transaction, they made this amount, and then they made this amount. So you will then go to design view and design it the way you want it. This is how you make an invoice, and then you will design your invoice and whatsoever according to this transaction and whatsoever. At the end you will have something like this. Just to show you, at the end you will have something like this. Okay, this is invoice. So at the end, after you've designed your layout and everything, so this is a transaction, this is an invoice, and everything. You've created the buttons there. When you print your invoice, I've printed to save it on as PDF on desktop. Let's say maybe you say 774894, and then you say save. So this invoice particularly is this one. Okay, just to show you, is this one 77, where it is 77977, this one. When you open it here, so this is the invoice at the end that you've created using Access. This was as an example. Thank you for watching. I hope it makes sense. If it does not, my name is Bongani Mahlangu, ba2bongani@gmail.com, for any assistance for free. Thanks.